All right, guys. Hey, we're live everywhere. It is good to have every single one of you here tonight, and I am so elated right now. I'm through the roof. We have a live developer Q&A, and this is kind of almost an interview. I'm extremely excited to pick the man, the myth, the legend himself, who created the most terrifying party game possible right now, and it is Foglight Online, and it is just an amazing game. And so, who I have right up above me, this is DangerousBob. DangerousBob, welcome to the stream. Great to have you.
Good to be here.
All right, the man who has forced me to buy stock inside of Johnson & Johnson because of sheer terror and the jump screams. We'll call them jump screams that happen. This game is unlike any game I've actually gotten a chance to play. Horror games were not my strong suit when I first started, when I was looking around for this. And so when I found this game, I was not ready for everything that you had inside of this game. And so my first question that I really have for you is, when did you fall in love with horror games?
So, it's an interesting. I've always loved horror. I grew up as a kid playing like the early Resident Evil games.
Nice.
It's what's interesting is, so horror is an interesting genre, just as game for game design. So like when I set out to make the original Foglight, I was like, what kind of game do I want to make? And here's the thing: it's very similar to movies, in the sense that like you're not going to go out and make a big budget action movie that is as good as Transformers, right? Because it costs millions of dollars to do that. Whereas with horror, you can go out and make the Blair Witch Project or something. It's very similar. It's very similar with games. I'm not going to be able to make a game that's better than Grand Theft Auto, right? And it's like I don't have the money, the resources to do that. But I can go out and make a horror game, and people will play horror games. They're fun to play. It doesn't need it's a different goal, I should say. And that was, so that tied into the fact that I've always just loved horror games was a big reason why that's the genre I kind of stick in.
That is fantastic. That's actually a very good answer. I want to say that I see the utmost potential for this game. Like we're seeing the most. We just saw a clip right there in the background. I am running live gameplay of this in the background, so you guys can get a chance to see it. There is a mechanic in this game that I will ask you about, that I have never seen, that science has talked about, and we will work our way back around to Smellovision, which, by the way, it's amazing. So with you picking horror as a genre, what really separates Foglight from some of the other horror games that are out there that can be played?
So I would say that a big thing that I really, like I said, so there's the two games, and they're two very different games. What I really wanted to get was the idea that like you kind of have this danger that is like right on the other side of the fog. And a huge inspiration was last year before COVID. I was living with some roommates, and we were playing the second Resident Evil 2 remake, and the Mr. X character, right? I was like, oh, this is fantastic. How you could hear him like walking around and stuff, and I was like, you can make a whole game about this, And it's like, and so the first Foglight was very much that. You were going around, solving puzzles and stuff with this monster that was kind of hunting you constantly, and you could hear his footsteps and stuff. So it was very similar to that. And then what I did with the Foglight Online was I was like, well, let's make a multiplayer,
The ever-present threat of I almost butchered the name. I still don't know even how to say it correctly. I say it my own way, but knowing that his origin, which I mean, if you guys want some of the insider information, not trading, not yet. It's not open on the stock market yet. But if you guys want some of that insider info, I will be happy to link the Discord to Foglight in here. And what is it? Farberto. I know that there's a little bit of the roll of the R's here for that. The third question that I have, which absolutely ties directly into this, and is about Farberto, the Beast Legend himself. Ah! What? Where did that come from? Where did it come from?
The name. So that my roommate that I said I lived with for a while. His name is Farber, and I always I love his name. So I was like I'm gonna name my monster Farber, and I need to give it I'll make it sound like Spanish, just to give it an extra it makes it a bit more exotic. It's supposed to be just something that is I wanted to be more like the this kind of Yeti kind of creature, and so yeah, I just took his name, and then it's interesting because the original idea, he was going to be more of like a stalker, like a human. So clearly a big this is very similar to like the Friday the 13th game, right? Which is I'm a huge fan of that. And I was like, well, if I do a person, people are gonna compare it to that. It's gonna be too similar to that, and I wanted to get away from that. I wanted it to be its own thing. So by making it like a monster, I was able to like kind of bring it into have more freedom. He could do superhuman things, and so yeah, I could then create like a mythos around him, and kind of give him his own backstory. But yeah, that's pretty much the history of the name.
Okay. There's actually a really good question here in chat that kind of ties into that, and it's who made the character model?
Yeah. So with the so a little bit of background on the Unreal Engine. So you have the Unreal Marketplace, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a fantastic. It's fantastic for developers. There was a model that was developed by somebody. Their name, I got it written down here because I knew you were going to ask that. It was Andrea, 1981, had developed a bear model and sold it on the marketplace. And I was looking around, and I found it, and I was like, it didn't really have any downloads or anything, and nobody was using it. And I reached out, and I was just like, can I buy this to you? And like I said, it was on the Unreal Marketplace, and so I decided to go with that, throw it in there, kind of tweak it, make it my own. But that's basically the history of where the actual like character model came from.
Wow. Hey, that's a great answer. I knew that the Unreal Marketplace was cool. I haven't delved too deep into it. I'm gonna need to start doing that. I'm also down to help you with voice lines. I've done a little bit of voice acting and metal screaming. No big deal. So this was one of the questions that ties back into the beast of a legend, Farberto. Smellovision, man. How did that it's mind breaking. It's mind bending actually that you were Smellovision. It just, we've always joked about it when you looked at an old TV back, 80s and 90s, you're like, man, it looks pretty good. Wish I could smell it. And you actually turn that into almost saw it in the game, in the gameplay. You turn it into a very well executed first time mechanic. I've never seen Smellovision at least work in a game. I've seen Predator Vision, but I've never seen Smellovision. Where, my man?
So there's an interesting history behind that. Again, I was kind of looking around at other games, other concepts, and like you said, there's a bunch of similar concepts. You know, you'll have like the predator vision or whatever. You know, and it's funny. I've got I have a dog, and we would
Oh.
we would play games with him, or we would like hide toys and tell him to find it. And I was like, man, he must see the world in a whole different way than we do. And I was just like, huh, you don't really like smell would be like, you know, so you take Farberto, he's a bear, he's a monster bear. It's like, well, what would his powers be, right? And it's like, well, obviously a sense of keen smell is something that you could build a gameplay mechanic around. And I didn't want it to be just like like you said, like I didn't want it to just be like night vision. So I came up with this thing where like when you turned it on, things that would have an odor would emit like a trail and odor that he could see, and it would have a timer on it. So you could then, you know, you could hide from them, but you could only hide from them, you know, for a short amount of time. But yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
There's a just so everybody who's watching this does understand that one of the first items you can pick up in pretty much all of the maps is a scent potion. Like, it's not a potion. I had potions of bad call, but it's like it would be like a hunter's vial of scent or urine. And little did I know that that's what I was falling for as Farberto going, hey, there's definitely somebody. Look at that concentrate. Ooh, nummy humans. And then, oh, there's nothing there. And man, does that work against the AI. Oh, that is so good. Well done.
Yeah, that was one of those things where it looked good on paper. I was like, okay, well, scent's going to be a part of it. There's got to be an item that could like mess with it, right? You could make false sense, you know, and you know, it's like I think in the game it's actually called it's a urine bottle, you know. But yeah, like you said, like a human player is going to be like they're going to know that that's just that's not what I'm looking for. But yeah, it works really good with the AI.
Which, by the way, you guys, AI was introduced in the last patch, almost like a quick update patch for it to be implemented in. And holy cow, Farberto being able to be an AI absolutely kind of changed how drastically the game was able to be played. For me, being one of the consumers, if we call it that, the having to wait for people just because the game is just freshly released and people don't have it in their hands yet. Creating a server and then having to wait for people was that was painful, but it made it so worth it when you finally got it and you're like, I am the bear. And then, oh man, it was so having the AI being able to be turned on has really just enhanced the total Foglight Online experience. So thank you for that. And it is. Oh, somebody just turned on the jump scares.
Yeah. It's interesting because I read like that, like what you just said. It kind of it was sort of unintentional. I was like, I had built the AI for the original game, so I just dragged and pulled that in, and I was like, oh, this is going to be because the two are built on kind of. It wasn't like just a conversion of the original. It was sort of kind of the center core is different, so you can't just like drag and drop things. It's to put it mildly, but yeah, I dragged the AI in and it just started chasing the player, and of course I had to tweak it from there. But it was like so I was able to like reuse probably 80-90% of the code from the original AI. And I was like, boom, I got AI, you know, and I was like, I'm just gonna make it so hard that if you turn it on, you're just dead. I wanted it to be like, if you saw him, you're dead. Like that was the idea.
I love it, and it's unless you have, there's not very many ways to escape Farberto once he is on you. It is you are about to kiss the ground for the last time, and watch the cat cam, which, by the way, I love that. when you die in the game, you get the chance to spectate other players, and so one of the camera choices that's available to spectate is there's a cat, and that's like one of the best Easter eggs in every one of the maps is to find that cat. And when you have the graphics totally all the way up, you don't have like your flashlight on, or maybe you do have your flashlight on, and that cat just runs by you. Oh man, it'll scare the crap out of you. Just ugh. So we have a couple of questions that the viewers are asking, and so we'll start with the top one that we have by I call him Merkley's. Merkley's question is, how difficult is it to fix bugs?
Depends on the bug. Everybody here, if you played the game, you're familiar with the fatal error bug that's been challenging this thing from day one. I'm happy to report that should be gone now by the 1.42 update. Yes. It was created by when you would search for a session. Basically, if it didn't immediately get into a session, there was no return node on the code, so it would basically just crash, and that would almost happen every time the host would change maps. So that should be gone. So networking bugs, some of those are just out of my control. Stuff as far as like gameplay stuff isn't too hard to fix. There was stuff like some of the text wasn't showing up correctly on the victory screens and stuff. That's just sort of like, there's only so much testing you can do with a couple of people. But when you take a Discord full of a bunch of people, it's like all of a sudden exponentially your testing is it's like every different calculation of different, what if you get this item and you drop this and you do this and then you do it reverse in 10 different times and 10 different angles. You just got a lot of different probabilities there. So the hardest thing about fixing it is I need to be able to recreate the bug. If it's just something that kind of happened and I can't recreate it, I can't fix it. I need to have something to fix. So if you guys do see a bug, try to be very specific and post it up in Discord so we can see it.
I have been as specific as I have specific. Oh my gosh. I have been as specific as possible trying to recreate any of the bugs that I have found, and DangerousBob has been an animal, a beast, or likened unto Farberto when it comes to killing the bugs for this game. So I greatly appreciate that, and I'd also like to do a huge shout out to DangerousBob for being the most actively listening developer I've ever met. He genuinely takes the input that we give him. Bear in mind, it helps when you get good input, and we can talk about that forever. What good input is. I've never met a developer who actually listened to people like you do, so I'd like to say thank you for that. On to the next question, though, that somebody has is John Dorrance on YouTube is asking, do you need a computer science background to get into making a game like this?
So, I don't have a computer science background. It's, again, to hype up the Unreal Engine. So in Unreal, you can code in C++, or you can use they have a visual coding layout that they call Blueprint.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that.
I find it, there is a learning curve. To define that as coding, I mean, technically it is coding, but there's a tutorial on YouTube for every little thing you want to do. I mean, the engine is absolutely, there was a bit of a learning curve. I would say anybody can pick the engine up. I mean, Unreal's for free. Anybody can download it. The way that Epic has it set up is that, so when you make a game, there's no royalties until you make $1 million on a game, and then Epic takes 5%. So basically, what they've done is they've taken this very powerful program, and it's the 100 monkeys with a typewriter, right? They they're hoping that they're hoping that somebody out there is going to make the next Minecraft, and then they can just get a royalty check from it. I mean, that's basically what they're doing, and they're like, hey, we're going to give you like this insanely powerful tool. You could publish to like PlayStation 5 with this thing. It's incredible.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you can make stuff ray tracing available. I mean, they update it. It's really something. But yeah, to answer your question, if you guys aren't programmers, but you have a general like concept of sort of like programming thinking, so like you understand the idea behind like if-then statements, right? Like conceptually, like everything in Foglight is done with trigger boxes. It's like you enter, if you throw the flashbang, there's like a 3-meter trigger box around it. If he's in that trigger box, what happens? If in trigger box, play this wave file for the ping sound, show this, widget image that has the white blackout to make it look like his vision's temporary, and and you just string it together. So it's, I would say if you guys have an interest in game design and you don't have a huge coding background, you can definitely get into it.
Using the Unreal Engine. Thank you, Bob. That's fantastic. So this is, man, that was a great answer. I was not ready for that good of an answer. Thank you. One of the questions, and I'm just going to ask it because we had talked about this previously a few times now, but Kimochi Gaming is asking, is it available for mobile? And that's asked by about 10 other people.
So it's tough because the thing is that it takes a lot of hardware to run this game. Unfortunately, that's hard to get on mobile. I'm not going to rule out and say that there's no possibility for any kind of mobile port, but if there was a mobile port, it would I would say not. It's not on my radar at the moment. Put it that way.
Yeah, hey, that's fair. It's the Unreal Engine itself is a beast on a person's processor, and so I foresee mobile phones very quickly getting there, but not yet. And so this would be a super fun port to have, and I am excited to be able to talk about that when it happens. And that is a great answer for what you have going on.
Yeah, and the thing is like if you were to do it, the game you could recreate it in some way to make it work, but it probably wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be what it is now. I mean, one of the big things that the whole game conceptually is built around this idea of volumetric fog, which that's why when you turn the settings lower, it all of a sudden it gets darker because it's turning off a lot of the 3D effects of the light calculations, and that whole that's what's eating up all that's what needs all the processing power. And so you're taking the core element there, and you would have to sort of rebuild that. I'm sure there's some way you could do that and make it work, but it would be a challenge for sure.
Okay. No, absolutely. And you are a one-man crew for this. That's my understanding. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, this is a hobby. It's like I do, work on it at night for a couple hours here and there. My friends have some input. We kind of round tables. My girlfriend actually was the one who pretty much designed the graveyard map. So kudos to her.
What? Oh, dude. Oh, that map is dangerously scary too. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool, man. Daniel Farber on YouTube is asking, how did you come up with the different maps?
So there's 3 maps. I plan for there to be more. So the first 2 maps were basically pulled in from the original game. Foglight Online was sort of unintentional. Like I'd made the original game and I was going to move on to another project, and I was like, I think I have all the assets. It probably wouldn't be a big deal to convert this to be an online game. And so the main map is the island, which is the lighthouse. And the original game was sort of, it was I don't want to say open world, but it was I would say like sort of half open world, right? You could go around and the game had different endings, and you could play it sort of the way you wanted to play it. There was, you could go anywhere on the island that you wanted to go, put it that way. And I was like, well, I need a pretty big island for that. And the monster would kind of hunt you on the island, and there was a bunch of jump scares, and you had to get a bunch of clues and all that stuff. So I just pulled the island over for the lighthouse map. So that's why it's so big, because it was built to be part of the open world aspect of the original game. The second map is the caves, which is and that's like that was a sort of a sub level that you could get to in the original. And what's interesting is if you play the original and you play Foglight Online, the caves, they look very different, but their actual layout's the same. I had the original one was very like boomer shooter, like Doom, like in the 90s, where it was just like a corridor. It was just this kind of corridor of like brick. And I got a lot of feedback on that on like Reddit and stuff, where they were like, dude, you can't just make like rectangle hallways, it's got to look, So I was like, oh, I need to step my game up. So I just took it and scrapped it and then redesigned it for Foglight Online, and that's where the cave came from. And then, like I said, for the graveyard, I was like, okay, the graveyard was the first map that was like truly designed to be an online map for Foglight Online. And like I said, I sat down with my girlfriend, and we kind of sketched it out. And she just kept saying, like, you need more in this. You need more in this. Like, it was her idea to put the cathedral up on the hill. I wasn't going to do that. She was like, you got to have that, She's like, you need spike pits. Come on, And then I was like, all right. So we just kept, like chipping away at it. And, that one I think is probably the best looking of the three. People seem to like the cave the most, but that's pretty much the story behind the three of those.
Caves and graveyard or lighthouse is awesome as well. We'll put that all out there. I'm gonna try and limit your total time so that way you're not up super late. We have a little bit of a time difference between us, and I greatly appreciate you being willing to do this. One of the questions Kamochi Gaming has, because she's very interested in this game, but is subject to mobile phones at the moment. She says, not going to lie, Google needs info that Foglight is a game and not just lights on a car. Is there a way to contact Google about this?
That's a good point. I think that that's a tough answer. That's a tough question for me to answer. Google's analytics. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's. I think that is something that, like, as it becomes more popular, it'll kind of, I guess I could just use more stronger keywords when I'm describing it. Foglight Online, the game, but I can look into the analytics a bit.
That's one of the reasons I'm trying to push out Foglight content as well, is just by search. People are searching this game. If you look at the Google Trends, people are looking at this, just so you're aware. Not that I've done any research like that at all. But so out of curiosity, this is my own question that I just came up with, and that is, what kind of marketing issues have you run into with this game? I know you're not a AAA developer, and those guys have like millions of dollars to just throw at marketing. What's it like for an indie developer?
So basically, if you're an indie developer, the game pretty much has to stand on its merit and word of mouth. Steam is, there are hundreds of games that come out every day on Steam. And the thing is like, and especially in with, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of junk that, you get a lot of, like, they're just advertisements. You know what I mean? You get these, like, they're clickbaity advertisements, and they're not really trying to get you to play a game, it's just waves at the beach. If you make something that's people like to play, just like right here, we're talking about it. You get your friends together. Hey, let's play this. And it's funny because when I made the first game, I bought like Google AdSense and I did all this stuff trying to promote it on YouTube and everything, and it just couldn't gain traction. And I was just like, well, is what it is. I took this with Foglight Online. I was like, I'm not gonna spend any money on marketing. I'm gonna go right to the people. I'm gonna get a Discord. I'm gonna go early access, and I'm gonna talk to people. And
wow.
The first game's got a few hundred downloads. This one's got over 10,000. So I think that speaks for itself.
Wow. Dude, hey, let's get it to 100,000. All right, I love it. We've got 3 more questions lined up here real quick for you, and then if we don't have any more, we will call this, and then we're actually going to do a little bit of Foglight Online gameplay, which, of course, I'll cut out for YouTube, so that way we just have the interview itself, and I'll cut what I just said. Sorry. Another question is, when's the Mac version coming out?
Like I said, it's on the to-do list. It's like I said, it is just me. So a lot of it is just seeing what the demand is. I haven't heard a huge cry from Mac, but as that mounts, there's sort of more pressure for me to like get that out. But I'll just tell people, keep your eye on the Discord. I'll kind of keep you where my head's at, how things are going.
I will post a link to the Discord in the chat to this video and also in the description. The next question was from Cool Gamer 550, and is this going to come to console?
I would love for this to come to console. It's a little bit trickier to do that, not from a development, like a technical point of view. It's more sort of there's more red tape. So for an example, to get on like with Microsoft, you got to like deal with Microsoft, and it's there's a bit more to it. Whereas Valve, working with Steam is just so easy. It's so user friendly. It's so indie friendly. They work with you. They help you. But like when you take like I'm not as familiar with Sony, but I know with Microsoft, it's a much bigger deal. So that's sort of what has kept me on PC exclusively right now. But like I said, I would love to get this thing out on a console.
Oh, this would make such a ridiculously good console game. Just the viewers are definitely in agreement with you that this it'd be awesome to see it at console. And it's also really cool to hear that it's actually not very easy to get stuff moved over to console. I would have never known that. I would have never, ever known anything about that. Like red tape. But Microsoft is a money-making like behemoth of a company, and they most likely want money out of you. So I could see a number of difficulties for an indie gamer trying to get their stuff pushed through Microsoft. Just from a business aspect here real quick, thinking about it. So I would thank you so much for that kind of insight. That really that answers the kind of questions. That answers a ton of questions right there.
No, and thank you for having me on. Definitely.
Well, we've got 2 more questions, and then we'll let you go.
Bring them on. I'd love to hear them.
Okay. What is it? Do you have any advice for others thinking about developing their first game? We got 2 game developers here. All right.
Just jump in. I mean, I started this like a little over a year ago, and I didn't have hardly any real big experience. Like I said, I wasn't a coder. A big part of it, honestly, was with when COVID hit with the pandemic. the quarantine, I was like, I'm at home just getting like cabin fever, and it was like I needed something to dig my teeth into. And I was like, I'm just gonna learn how to do this. And I've always loved game design. When I was a kid, I used to like draw out. I would like draw out like Mario levels and stuff when I was in like grade school, and it's just like it's something I've always wanted to do. I've always loved challenging people, and I would say like if you have the spirit for it, and you're willing to like put the time in, and you're willing to take like harsh feedback. There's people, even there's people like with this that they're like, this game's terrible. I hate it. Like you're terrible. Like you got to be able to like bounce with that, But yeah, don't be. I can only speak for the Unreal Engine. Don't be intimidated by it. There's a lot of people out there that like they use like these kind of like smaller sort of like low, like I don't want to say lower end, but like the real indie engines like the RPG Maker and stuff like that. And it's like, hey, that jump from that to Unreal, like if you can do that, if you can build like a game in like the RPG Maker, you can make something in Unreal. And like I said, the marketplace is fantastic. And it's like if it's in the marketplace, you have the legal access to use it. Like that's how it's set up. And they have, if you, it's like, oh, I need like a lawnmower model or something. I need to have like a model of a tombstone, and I don't want to spend 3 weeks building that model, and I can buy it for $6. So the Unreal marketplace really makes that transition a lot easier. I wasn't aware of that when I started. So yeah, I would say just jump into it. Just download it. It's free to download. Try it. See what you think.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so Brandon, hopefully this has been super helpful for you, brother. What is there? Merkley's is asking you to make a Stardew Valley type game with your horror. So you Jim Sweet on YouTube is asking, do you have any other online games?
Like I said with the RPG Maker, way back in the day, I did tinker around with that, and that was kind of how I got my real start, like just sort of posting that kind of stuff. I made a game. I made a game called Laser Eyes. It's just a really like silly, fun little game. But yeah, I don't even know where it's at. If you Google for it, you might be able to find it. I posted it in some forums like years ago. But it was like, I guess my roommates have a lot of influence on me. It was like my roommate at the time, it was him, and it was like it was him like going around fighting like robots or something. It was weird. But, yeah, like I said, Foglight won't be the last. I want to keep doing this. It's like now that and again to other people that want to get into games development. Once it has a snowball effect, right? It's like once you start to learn something, then you want to learn the next thing, and then you want to keep going. So you make one game, you make a better game, you make a better one.
Okay, I have a question for you, and that is, what are you gonna do if this game blows up?
Compared to the first one, this has blown up. I thought I was gonna when I released this, I was like, well, this is done. What am I going to do now? Like, I thought the servers would just be completely dead, and it would just be over. So, like, the fact that, like, we're talking about it, that, like, I'm watching somebody on Twitch play it, like, that's just amazing. So as far as I'm concerned, like, this is, like, a huge win. I would love to see it continue to grow. At some point, I am going to take it out of early access. I did spend money on it, so I'll probably charge like a couple dollars for it or something. But I don't want to do that until it's like really, really like polished. That's the main thing I'm working on, is I want to polish it, like get it like really smooth, no bugs. I will say, if you've downloaded the early access, I'm not going to make you buy it again. You have the game; it's your game. So I think that would be silly. I want everybody, go out, get it now, have it, play it. So yeah, I guess that's all I can say.
Okay. You Merkley's is saying hopefully he doesn't forget us. Don't worry, it's not his personality type. It's good. The If the game does blow up, are you planning on hiring people? Or is it going to be one of those things you continue to, once it gets to a point of polishment, people will want more content in the game. Like the 3 maps you have are legit. Oh, they're so good. Uh, I could definitely see people wanting more from the game. Is there? Are you?
I want to make more, like, even if it just stays as is. Like, I don't, I mean, I would like maps. I would love to get more maps. I'm definitely going to add more maps. So don't worry about that. Oh yeah. Like, that's coming. Like, it will, I mean, yeah, as far as like hiring people and stuff, like I said, it would have to get pretty big to get to that point. We'll deal with that if that comes. I mean, that'd be great. I would love to make this thing like I said, like a Friday the 13th or something. Like if it got like that big, that would be, I don't want to jinx myself or like set my expectations here, because I think right now just playing with like, you guys and stuff, like that's what I wanted. This is what I wanted when I set out to make this. I think this is great. People who love games, playing games, talking games. That's what it's all about, man.
I love it. Here is what I'll call the last question. Unless we get another question that pops up, we'll call this the last one for now. And that is, what's the next map, man?
I'll let you guys decide. I'll post something up and or just tell me. You guys tell me what you think would be good maps. I'm always playing the game. I'm always online. Feel free to shoot me a message. I've heard some crazy ideas. I've heard people say like a train yard. I've heard stuff like a broken old hospital. Something. Here's some like inspiration. You remember the end of the third Aliens movie where they're running around and it's like in the they're like in that like tunnel system. It's like a network, and they're trying to shut the doors to trap them. I was that idea popped in my head the other day. I was thinking that would be a really cool map, and it's like maybe turn it around and the players have to like shut him in, like lock him in a room, by like luring him or something. So like I want to make a map where there's like more interactions. You know what I mean? Like you can like, it's not just you and the monster. It's like, okay, we can like set this trap. We can like, if we hit this and this, we can put this sort of domino, this emotion in effect that will whatever, make the building collapse or something, but like that. So I want ideas. You guys like,
different objectives for the game. Brilliant, dependent per map. Oh, that's so good, dude. I'm still gonna go with my Alaskan gold mining camp idea because
I didn't hear that. I was like, yeah.
You could definitely. Well, I mean, you could have a slight cave like you do with the graveyard, right? So you still have that half decent model where you could, just like in some of the other, like the lighthouse gameplay just showed up. And if you don't angle yourself right going over a couple of those bridges, you are going to take the eternal dirt nap. And I love that you have terrain danger as well inside of this. So it's not only that you're looking out for Farberto, but if you're not careful, you're going to get hit in the face with a log or something. Like, I love that. And just oh man, I also love the captain, your matey. The interactions with that, those kind of Easter eggs make this game awesome. Uh-oh.
The spike pits, that was a fun one. It's funny because people kept telling me that the spike pits were broken on the graveyard, and they're actually the way they work is every time you step on them, it essentially rolls a dice, and if you it rolls a 1 through 10 dice, and if you get over 5, the pit falls. So it's not broken; it's just supposed to be random if you actually step on it.
Oh wow! I haven't stepped on it yet, apparently, or maybe the die roll has been in my favor. Oh no! Oh baby. Oh, somebody said you should add a Call of Duty map to it, but that would be some pretty heavy potential lawsuits. So we probably won't go into that.
Yeah, and that's one thing that's been just another challenge. Like I said, like you got to be really careful with all that stuff. That's again, if it's in like the Unreal Marketplace, you're pretty much safe. Like here's something, just a fun fact. This doesn't apply so much to Foglight, but just in general. Because I got like another project that I'm starting to kind of lay the foundation for.
Ooh.
And if you take like gun names, like for firearms, you can't just like call your gun, like you just can't say, oh, this is a Beretta in a game. That's a trademark name, you know. And it's so that's why, yeah. So like it's funny. Like look at Resident Evil. Go look at the guns in Resident Evil. They're all fictitious, or they're like really generic. Like they just call it like the shotgun. And just to add a bit of trivia onto that, so like AK-47 is not trademarked because it's not an AK-47. It's a Kalashnikov, right? So they recently just trademarked that because it was being used so much in video games, and they kept calling it. They go, oh, we can call it an AK-47. So unless you're willing to pay, yeah, you got to be careful with trademarks and all that stuff. So I've been really careful about a lot of that stuff. So you're absolutely right.
Man, that's okay. That was a very good answer. Very well put out. Okay, so finally, this is the last question. So, we're somebody's asking you to think about this for a second, and that was if you had a good budget, what would you add to the game?
That's a good question. That's a tough question. I would love to get define good budget. I mean, we'll just say like moderately here. I would love to get like dedicated servers, stuff like that. Just get I think that polishing it, like to me, like prepping it as far as like getting it out of early access and stuff like that. It's more about polish, not just like shoving more content into the game. Like I'd rather polish the content we have, give people a smooth experience. It would be interesting to be able to like have more. If I could just do anything, it would be more customization, maybe crafting, stuff like that.
Oh my God, crafting your items, dude, that would be brutal. Not like as a player, you would have even more responsibility to like, oh my God, I found all these sticks. I gotta somehow craft this without Farberto catching me. Oh, that would be insane.
It's an interesting balance because if you start adding stuff, all of a sudden you change the game. So for example, you'll notice one thing I really, with this one in particular, there's no guns, right? The flamethrower is like the one like lethal weapon you can get. You can get the taser, or I should say the stun gun. Can't say taser, right? The stun gun, which basically it'll like take some of his health, but it's I wanted to make it so that it's Farberto hunting the humans, and that they could be clever and try to fight back. But if I started adding guns, then all of a sudden it's going to turn into
Hunt
the humans
Farberto
hunting Farberto, and I didn't want to. It becomes a different game.
Any closing thoughts? Any closing ideas that you'd like to share with us?
I'm just going to say that this was great. I love these are good questions. And thank you for doing what you're doing. I mean, it's like when you take something like this, it's like it needs all the support it can get because it can die quick, and it's I would love to see this continue to grow. I think there's a lot of potential here. And just say thank you to all the viewers and people out there playing, and I hope you all have a good time. I mean, really, that's what it's all about. It's having fun.